Hello, guys, of course. For anybody who doesn't know, my name's TomBiz14. Joining me will be Flakes, and we're going to be going in pretty damn shortly to our first game of the day. It will be NiP versus HellRaisers, and, well, we've already had a little bit of a look at the odds. I think they were put up on screen for just a moment. But they are very one-sided, yeah. So NiP, obviously, a team not legendary at the moment in Major, but definitely in just how well-known they are. Yeah. So what do you think about this one? HellRaisers, do they have a chance?
I feel like it's kind of been covered quite a lot in terms of the negatives of them. Yes, the positives if they have experience, but then I look at it and go, well, you could say a lot of teams have experience. Whether they can bring kind of the meat to the table and actually deliver something nice.
It's Cash
not so
as
good.
well.
Cash is, well, I was kind of hoping we'd see something
like
like Mirage or something different, but Cash, this feels almost like a brutal tale for this HellRaiser side. They're very much already up against the wall just from this perspective. They need to have one hell of a T side. That's a given. Their CT side needs to be absolutely flawless in terms of holds. They've been strong in the past. We've seen Smike every now and then deliver something with the AWP, but the big concern and something else that was mentioned is the fact that he's just not quite Oscar.
Yeah, I feel like being not quite Oscar isn't always the worst thing in the world. Definitely one of the better AWPers at the moment, an explosive player. But yeah, of course, he's not going to be up to that standard just yet. Still, haven't really highlighted too many other players. I think the analyst there spoke about Bondic. For me, it's going to be Zero and Sticko, because Sticko is obviously a guy who sometimes just goes off the chains for this team. He's been the guy who, when they do win, a lot of it comes down to him. But Zero, I feel like, is the more star-worthy player in this team. He's definitely the player I actually look to say, okay, if they're going to win this, he needs to be on point. We saw him during the qualification. Really nice, like a couple of clutches along the way. Really nice job, but eventually they didn't get through. But then obviously teams have dropped out. Local team has just been invited because of that very manner. But in terms of Cash, it is a map they play. That's for sure. We can see just recently even they played Cash versus Epsilon. They managed to beat the new iteration of Fnatic on this map. So it's not a bad map for them. The only problem is, other than the sort of hiccup at the Major where Flipside managed to anti-strat NiP, this has been a very strong map for NiP. And recently, well, we've seen them beat Mouse Sports FaZe twice. Now we see what HellRaisers can do.
Feels we're going to be rolling straight into what feels like it's going to be a pistol around Angel, delivering a smooth headshot straight to the cranium of Get Right. It's already a frag going to sit into the CT side court. So that is where they're going to be sticking, but they have to hold off this site. It's going to be very much a passive setup, holding towards Highway, really just playing their bets on being able to retake this one. As NiP, they've taken full control, got themselves very much wrapped around the corners. Just still not quite playing for the bomb plant just yet. HR will just be tapping away and eventually going to find another frag to the hands of Angel.
Yeah, nice start for Angel. Of course, there's still 3 players left. They do have themselves the site, but that's about it. They don't have any utility. They've just got to take these Angels, and already Makalele will find one, but it's just Angel doing all of the work. He's actually going to get an ace, so a really nice start for Angel. Starting off wonderfully, kills everybody at the beginning. Now what can they do for the rest?
I just feel like this is possibly the kind of most unexpected way to start this one. An ace coming out of the bag
The
for
very
Angel.
first round of the tournament is an ace. Who would have guessed that?
Well, that sets the narrative for this entire matchup, but hopefully for the entire day, just some very close neck-and-neck matches. But now we are going to see that response rolling from NiP. They have a choice. They can either do a bit of investment, or they can just play the patience game, and all we can see is just going to be a couple of smokes here and there, just playing for another bomb plant, seeing what they can bring to the table. But anything too crazy, well, you'd say it's just flat out not worth it.
Yeah, well, for obvious reasons. They get the bomb down. They're going to go for those AKs in the next round, try and get whatever they can in the next. And in this one, well, Makalele got a kill, extra 300, so he'll go for a dig. The rest of the players will get a little bit of an investment. You can see the smoke onto exist. And, of course, a flashbang as well. They're just going to try and rush onto B. And this nade from Zero could be crucial. He's going to throw it out. Doesn't actually do as much damage as he probably would have liked a little bit earlier, and it would have been perfect. We will see Forrest get a kill. But other than that, it's looking pretty clean. And, well, Sticko just holding the line, gets both kills in the end. 4 kills overall, so 2 players with 9 of the 10 kills over the first 2 rounds. But it's not going to be anything crazy. The buy will now come back in for NiP, and this is where we actually want to see what they can do.
Of course, they've got some heavyweight players when it comes down to these rifles. We talked about the aim players of Forrest and Freiburg and such, and, well, inconsistency, should I say, may be one thing to talk about, but then just the last match alone we saw exist go absolutely huge, really delivering one hell of a performance. So, well, see what the rifles can bring. They're going fairly much into a standard T side, just spamming away. Actually going to hand a couple of tags, but it's not really going to amount to anything too crazy. Sticko just on the 86 HP marker. For the most part for NiP, this is just about gaining some information, spreading their wings, seeing what members of HR will come their way, and well, ultimately just that information war.
Yeah, and quite a heavy setup at the moment for the CT side towards that B side. We have a player boosted around Vent, so that's more for mid control, and you can also see Angel over the other side. We've also got a bit of a misbuy in terms of what they have. Like, this is a bonus round. They've got Bondic still on the SMG, Smike only on a Scout, a FAMAS in the mix as well, up against straight AKs. The one real advantage the CT have is their utility, though. There's next to nothing on the T side. The one smoke onto Forest, 3 flashes across 3 players. Other than that, there's not too much for NiP to really use to get themselves in. But already, we'll see the first kill coming back. Quickly traded out, though. Angel going to grab himself a second and looking for more. But it is straight trade so far. And weaponry-wise, this definitely favors NiP.
Yeah, got 3 arrows in hand, you can see. This is just tapping away towards Highway, trying to find himself the cranium of Bondic, but he will arrive fairly intact with 74 HP. So already, not only weaponry, but HP starting to get knocked down. Of course, still looking to see where they can find themselves an entry in terms of the sites, because the bomb is fairly far back. But looking at Get Right, he's in a prime position just to completely cut Bondic off right where he stands. He has to do something huge. The flashbang will be going off for a pop, but the peak just not quite going to come in. And now he's being caught from all angles, nowhere to look, nowhere to run. It seems like he's just going to be walking to his death. And there you have it. The headshot will be landed straight to the cranium, and it's just going to be fairly clear-cut.
Yeah, methodically surrounding the remaining player on the site. There's 2 to find. You do have Zero, has himself an M4, so definitely going to be looking towards him, and that scout shot is going to allow Exist to cross back over now to Forklift, and this is a bit problematic. They do need to get these kills pretty quickly. They do have a kit, but now we're looking towards Exist. He's going to miss the spray, and now Zero, he's grabbed himself too, looking for the third. Makalele, he's got to do something already, looking for these kills. Sprays away, he is going to look for one, but Smike will actually get it. Miss spray completely from Makalele, and that's another round on the board, which probably should have gone the way of NiP.
Really should have. I'm very excited to see what this NiP side could bring to the table. Of course, it's very much the late 2014 style, but already we're seeing some almost rustic-like plays rolling out. We mentioned, well, the analyst desk even touched on it quite a lot. We were talking about it this morning, just the fact that he's not really quite played too much. Yes, playing online here and there is good, but it's not quite playing on LAN. Well, we see that one just come full circle. A very disappointing outcome. But for HellRaisers, this Ukrainian side, they're not going to be complaining at all. 3 rounds up in a matchup that we very daintily said they weren't going to be doing quite well, and already Smike opening up with just another pick with the AWP now in play. Yeah,
this should be a pretty open and cut round at the moment. You can see the build up over towards that B side. It's going to be a quick aggressive play to try and shut down this AWP of Smike, but he's taken a new angle. This actually avoids the smoke, and this could be a problem. Not sure how that didn't connect. Looked almost perfectly on point, but won't be enough to actually find the initial frag of the round, although they have already taken down Freiburg. Now we're looking for the remaining players. They want to get a bomb plant already. We'll see Angel spray down one, but it's a quick trade, and it's not looking like they're getting anywhere near this site. Zero will find one more, and Smike will close things down.
A flat return on the eco round, just one frag being found, the exact same sort of style we saw go backwards and forwards, and well, nothing really crazy to read into there. It's just very much open, cut, and dry. But now we look to see, well, what can they bring to the table here? You know, the rifle's starting to be brought up, seeing the AWP in the hands of Makalele, which is something a lot of people have been discussing. Will he be AWPing, or will he be sitting back to that rifle row? Because he's a player that has been experimenting quite a lot.
Yeah, well, when we saw him in the initial lineup, when he was actually in an NiP, he was always the AWPer for this team, and very exciting, explosive AWPer, but since then, he sort of fell away. When he was on FaZe, actually switched over to the rifle for quite a bit. Of course, they had Fox in the lineup, so that was an obvious choice. But now he's back on the AWP, and definitely excited to see what they're going to be able to do. Of course, already we see them actually boost back into Vent. That's nice, but it will be a quick trade. Smike will manage to end the life of Get Right, and this leaves Angel pretty much in the open. They know where he is, but can't actually get to him. Now, just going to fall back. Of course, they've still got 4 versus 4, which does normally benefit the T side. The CTs have managed to get themselves back to even at least, but now we're sort of looking at what the remaining players can do. This does leave a hell of a lot of pressure onto Bondic. He's alone on the A site, and with the rotation ability of this map, there's definite potential for them to go in that direction, and well, you can already see from their position, it does look like they're building up for that push.
More likely expecting to see 2 players head through main 1, get boosted over and decide to head over, but we could also just see the same stack, which is what we're seeing now. 3 players directing straight through main, relying completely on the lurk from Forest to try and do some work towards mid. If he can find his pick on towards Bondic, that alone could prove to be rather fruitful. Of course, Smike, the only really player to be holding very much close over towards Car with the AWP, but Forest is going to be doing the work. Angel actually going to be caught off guard out of sandbags. Bondic, well, he's rotated back up on full sight, will be spraying down through the smoke, catch himself another frag. Smike going to find another with the AWP, and this is rapidly crumbling. Do see the push try and rolling out, but now it's all going to be on the shoulders of Makalele, trying to go for the close range AWP pick, will be mollied off and taken down. Well, a round that we said was crumbling is now completely just fallen apart.
Yeah, and a lot of mistakes being made so far by NiP. You saw there, even Forest towards the end is going to tap a couple of shots, give away his position, and not find anything for it. We saw Makelele miss a shot. That's always been something with his AWPing. He's not going to hit 100% of shots. Well, that's impossible, but he's not even going to hit a lot of the shots. He's normally rattling off, but didn't get an opportunity. And, well, this is already looking pretty worrying. HellRaisers 5 rounds in a row. The money's starting to be built up on their side of things. And, again, it's not going to be anything too crazy in this round. And I really enjoyed just the rotational position there of Bondic. He jumps up, then goes through the smoke, plays aggressive to end the AWPer's life. And, well, you see now they've just gone for some Tech 9s, going to try and play a smoke strategy, something that Threat has definitely added in to this roster, and they're going to try and get as close and personal to Bondic as they can.
The response is going to come in, though. Of course, the Molotov's now just going to be popping off, trying to block their route out of that door position, but it's just not going to be doing any work at all. They're just going to be barreling straight on out. The spray down going to be rolling in through the smoke. Angel will connect one. These Tech 9s, they need to do some work. The smoke's really actually going to be helping them out. Get right will pick up one on towards Angel, so the trade frag has rolled on in. But now what can these nades do?
Yes, Mike already finding one back. Freiburg going to go aggressive. The flashbang works nicely. He connects one, so they are doing damage in this round, but it looks like it's still going to be another one. Get right, he's alone. He has himself the Tech 9, tapping away, already spots out one player, but the flank is already making its way down. He doesn't really have too much of a chance. Going to try and use the smoke to his advantage. They still don't really know where he is, but eventually Sticker will end his life, and that will be a 6th round, but they get themselves a bomb plant. Max loss bonus 3,400 added onto that is plenty to actually get themselves back into the next round. And now we're going to look at this buy, which will have a lot of nades behind it. The AWP, if they desire to have it. And, well, this should be the round where we see what NiP can truly do on their T side.
Yeah, it's not like the foundations haven't been there. They have delivered some nice attempts. We saw some utility usage being on point. So they've got the tool set, but it comes down towards the late round execution. Things seem to just be more rapidly disintegrating for them as they try and find some frags. Of course, the pressure really is on for them. 7th round, they don't want to let HellRaisers start to run away with things. But the response already seems to be just spread, pick, get some information, and will then respond in towards that later round period. So nothing really being changed.
Yeah, now we look to see what Forest can do with the AWPs. They've already taken it out of the hands of Makelele. Get one shot. Didn't make it count, so now Forest is going to take that role. Angel already low on HP. The desk sort of highlighted that Smike may not be Oscar, but he is 7-0 at this stage, so definitely starting off very strong. You can already see the mid-aggression coming out, and this is quite interesting initially, and Angel's actually going to get that first frag as well. So Freiburg already out of the round, and this is getting quite scary at this stage. Looking to see maybe even a 7th round on the board for HellRaisers on the CT side, so maybe a slow start for NiP, but this could be a very scary factor. We've already spoken about how close their group can be. We know that there's a few teams, of course, well, the loser of the next game will either be Godsent or Dignitas, so it's not going to be easy no matter what happens here, but already back to an even scenario at least. We will see Exist find a frag, Sticko up in Vent, looking to try and trade that back. Does hit a dink, but the same amount of damage is back onto him, so nothing really lost just yet for NiP. And they are now edging their way over towards this B site, but with 30 seconds left, they've got to do it quickly.
Cutting it quite close, very much down to the wire. They need to land the headshots, especially looking towards the position of Zero, because he's there on this 2nd-man peak scenario, but looks like they're going to catch one off guard, and they will do just that. Taking down Sticko. Smike soon to follow, and well, this is where things could go very much in their favour. Zero will go out for a peek, finds himself a headshot, but it's just not quite enough to hold things off. As now we might just be seeing this Swedish side bring themselves back on the board. The bomb is going to go down, planted very much in that open position, allowing them to play very safely towards B main, of which we can see their 2 players just kind of resonating. Winging the Bondic, well, he's in a bit of an impossible one, really. Can try and play to do some damage, of course, completely not off the cards. The reset round now actually being brought to the table. But overall, not much he can really look for.
Yeah, well, a couple of low players. They don't have any utility, so there's a definite chance he can catch out Forest and get rid of that AWP, which I don't think they'll be able to afford back up. They do get a bomb plant, and there is a little bit of extra money. He now knows where Forest is. He's going to miss another shot, so has to be a little bit careful here. And now you can see him falling back, but there you go. There's the catch. The AWP will be picked back up by Makelele, so not going to be too much of a problem. But dropping that extra player, we'll look at the sort of monetary position in just a moment, but well, you have to say, nice round from NiP. I'm pretty sure every single player except one got a kill, so it wasn't like an individual round where you go, oh, that's crazy. Get right opens things up over towards B, and then they just methodically trade it into a point where they end up winning the round. 3 players left, and now they're back. So they have full nades. Everything's still on that CT side. Not going to be a problem in that circumstance. Of course, early on, they did lose a player in a trade scenario, so they want to be a little bit more careful in that circumstance. But look at Smike, very aggressive here, and there's the peak. Get right's gone, and that's already a bad start to the round for NiP.
very uncomfortable stuff. There's no way they could have even predicted that's going to roll in. But Freiburg, he's going to return things. A one-tap straight through the smoke, clearly on towards Angel. And that will bring us back to that Stevens marker of 4 versus 4. And what else is there to say? This has been crazy round so far. This 8th round. Sticko now going to be going back onto the aggressive front, straight through mid. They're just going to be holding this red freight train angle. But even then, well, he could catch Freiburg off guard, which looks like it might actually happen. And he's going to do just that, finds himself another frag. But this round has been absolutely crazy. What can we even say? They're just pushing all these angles, both teams being caught off guard respectively. But now where will this lead? We're looking at HR side, who now have a more man advantage. It looks like Exist will try and do himself a bit of a trade. More? But they're hungry. They want more frags. They're going to be going for the counter boost. The timing's going to be perfect. They find one. They find a second on towards Forest. And now it's all on the shoulders of Exist. He's going to peek out, find mid. Picks up one frag. He's still in a 1 versus 3.
There's a second as well. They should have known that after the boost came in. They should have known there's a second. And this is definitely something the analysts highlighted. They said, we know for a fact that on the CT side, aggression is definitely going to come in for HellRaisers, and it's clearly not something that NiP have taken into account. After jumping on the head of his teammate, that should have made a sound cue as well. So realistically, they should have known that was coming. They had 3 players around the area. Not one of them seemed to react, and that's the reset round. That's the round where NiP, they win one, they lose one, and we're straight back to a point where 7 rounds on the board for HellRaisers, and there's no money in the bank except for the AK no armor for Exist. What?
Hey, anything is possible. As we're looking towards
Not
Smike.
that.
He's actually looking directly towards where the rifle is, so they're going to be going for a bit of a gamble play. But if Smike does pick him off, it's going to get very uncomfortable. The first shot will be missed. It's at least a shred of hope being handed to the side so far. Angel going to be looking for a bit of a return frag as well over towards Boost. A couple of nades going to be expended. Nothing too crazy being dished out. Actually, Smike on the receiving end of the tag. But for Ninjas in Pajamas, they have their work completely cut out for them because the concern is it's a 7-1 scoreline, Tom. No one predicted this was going to happen. But this is already starting to run away for this Ukrainian side. When does it stop? When does this pain and reckoning just finally get returned back on the table? And with Smike, just going to add to insult to injury.
Yeah, this is not a good start. Forest now has that rifle. They are just throwing it around, so I do understand what they're trying to do. This is a sort of damage play, but it really hasn't done anything so far. And while Forest is going to get dunked straight out of the round, flies away, and that's just flawless for HellRaisers. They managed to get themselves an 8th round. They have plenty of money, although it's not anything too crazy just yet. And the T's are going to have to buy back up. No AWP, not even full AKs on the board. And this is where things are starting to get a little bit scary. You see 10+ rounds on the CT side. I'm not even sure how much NiP can come back from that.
Well, this is the factor. We were actually mentioning that we were expecting the T side to be the kind of Titan weight factor for HellRaisers where they would have to step up to the plate. But why talk about the T side when we're seeing them deliver, well, an impeccable CT side, only 1 round being found by the Swedish side so far. Still going to be looking for a response in this 10th. They've got the rifles, albeit limited. The smoke's going to be just barreling down over towards the A side, but they're going very heavy. 3 players over towards Boost. Problem is, they've got 2 players on the CT side being aggressive towards that highway, and Sticko's going to go for the peak, tries to find the first, cuts it very, very close, but will get away by the skin of his teeth. A second frag going to roll on in. A trade frag will come in Pajamas, but it's just not quite enough.
Yeah, this is only down to Makalele, the stand-in, trying to take on a 1v3. He has himself the bomb, but the positional advantage definitely lies with that CT side. I wonder if they actually know where he is, though. You look at their actual positions and you think, okay, they do have a flank player, but the rest aren't really going in that direction just yet. But the second the bomb is planted, they should have an idea that this is the A side. Already, Smike's going to end him, not giving him a single chance. And, Bob, I reckon the sound we just heard is a pause coming in for NiP because there's not really anything they're doing right at this stage. They had 1 round. It came down to just a few nice picks and entries onto the B, but it wasn't anything dominating or anything crazy. And other than that, we've seen absolutely nothing from them. Most of this has just been nice, easy cleanup rounds and not particularly close ones either.
It is worth mentioning the fact that I don't want to say this is complete counterplay in terms of strategy. For me, it's almost kind of aim-based as well. We're seeing a couple of rounds that are based on maybe reads or maybe even just smart positional play overall. So just putting 2 players on highway there, that was a perfect counter setup to a bit of mid-aggression.
Well, it does seem that the cards are just in the HellRaisers' hands at the moment. They've played aggressively at decent opportunities. It seems to work very, very nicely. I think this is a redo of the ace from Angel as well, which was, of course, very nice at the beginning of the game. A huge confidence booster for him. But in terms of like fragging ability, we've seen Smike really, really nice with the AWP. There's been no counter to him. It didn't matter if it was Forest. It didn't matter if it was Makalele. And even they're the only 2 real opportunities they've had. They had it a couple of times, and then it just fell apart. In terms of the sites, Bondik has been solid over towards A. I don't really know where they're going to find this weakness, but now they have a chance to. They're going to get this pause. Of course, they can have their coach give them a little bit of insight, try and look for a weakness, but a lot of it's just, well, either the aggression, as we can see here from HellRaisers, has just worked every single time. I don't think they've had any problems once. Yeah, the worst case scenario has been a trade, which is just crazy. And then they get to these sort of later bits of the round where they're trying to push onto the site, and it's more just without any nades or just individually trying to find the frags. And this is just going to be nice and easy in the end for HellRaisers. They're just cleaning things up, not having any problems so far.
Well, the big concern is you touch on nade usage. Their nade usage in terms of the decisions they're making, the fact that they know them, certainly does exist. We've seen Threat in the past really delivering some great stuff.
It's whether they can afford them.
Not only the kind of the effortation factor, it's the fact that when they do decide to throw them, they go, for example, just complete A main and execute, but then they decide to push to the mid. Why not just utilize the A main smokes? Why not just actually go out of the site and try and make something work? Because you're currently in the 9-1 scenario, nothing is working, just go back to basics.
Yeah, well, now we're going to see a bit of a basic strat, just rushing over towards the B site, trying to get close. Forest will open things up, so that's a start, but now we see the spray from Zero, already finding 2 back. Forest picks up an AWP, so is doing some damage, and now this is one of the better scenarios for them. They've picked up an AK onto Exist. There's definitely another rifle somewhere on the floor that can be picked up. It is going to be Get Right with an AWP, not his primary weapon, but definitely something he can play with. Goes for the no-scope and won't connect. Now it's all down to Exist. He's in a 1 versus 1, not a scenario that should have come out of this round, and actually he's going to clutch it out. So, well, there you go. There's a change. They just go very aggressive towards the B site. The Tech-9s work out, and they win a round that they shouldn't have won.
The biggest thing that sits in my head right now is it really does live true to back to basics. Just rush B, push, be aggressive, dive straight through anything that comes your direction.
One flash.
And all it took was one solitary flashbang. No fancy smoke executes required. But they've got the second on the board. Now, how do they respond to this? Do they keep on going with these kind of rushes and aggressive play to try and counter? Or do they go back to this kind of spread and pick play? And, well, that wallbang has been so common in this matchup, but still, only 61 HP, still sitting in the hands of Sicko, but it's nothing too crazy, really.
Yeah, doing a nice bit of damage. I think Angel actually took a nick as well, but not anything crazy, of course, but it's still nice to see the spray pay off. Either way, we are now looking to see whether or not it will be a similar scenario as before, where NiP are quickly reset and HellRaisers can get back on their train of destruction, or whether or not they will now string some rounds together. Of course, if they can get back to 6, there's still an opportunity with a pistol win. You could even say that's 9-all. That's not that bad, but that's a long way away. We're at 9-2 at the moment, much slower from the NiP side, waiting to see if there's any sort of aggression, and there's been a hell of a lot of it so far, so I'm not surprised that they're now falling back to a very passive standpoint. I think Yanko spoke about the idea that they're very good at switching up the pace, but already Angel will now go for an aggressive peek, and they didn't seem to be ready for it. He manages to do a hell of a lot of damage onto Freiburg. They're now going to counter flash to try and push him back, but he's already gone. He's done the damage he needs to do. Now he falls away and tries to make sure that he doesn't get taken down in the meantime.
That sums the problem up in a nutshell. When they fall back to this passive style play, something that's certainly not surprising, they don't actually manage to find a pick. There is no response. They're just there, ready and waiting and getting tagged down. But it's just, we'll find one on towards Sticko. Looking to follow up through the smoke on towards Mid Angel, playing rather close, but still not quite going to be spotted out. And you look at the HP of Freiburg, it is somewhat worrying, especially now when you just take how close Zero is. He's going to be spraying home down, finds himself one, goes to the second. Eventually the trade will come in, but still, it's going to be 2 for 2, but eventually we'll sit in the court of this Swedish side. They're barreling back out on towards this B site. Bondek going to be trying to do some work with the Famous. I don't know how close will he tend to go.
Yeah, the bomb's going to go down with seconds to spare. A lot of damage has been done to the NiP side of things, so there is still a big opportunity for them to get back into this round. The Molotov going to force Get Right out of position a little bit, but really we're looking at Bondek here. Freiburg up close and personal. The flash will come out, but Freiburg's going to hit the headshot. Now it's all down to Smike. AWP, not the ideal weapon in this scenario. It's a nice shot through the box onto Get Right, but now he has to fall away, and I don't think their monetary position is as sound as we may have initially thought. They've now lost 2 rounds in a row. We saw a FAMAS already coming into play, so definitely wants to save this AWP, but what sort of buy will be coming up behind it, that's another thing altogether. So NiP will get a 3rd. Definitely going to be looking to get 6 at least. And, Smike almost manages to end the life of one more player. Forrest will get away by the skin of his teeth. And that leaves them at least with a couple of players surviving and a bomb plant and, of course, the win round. So NiP will definitely have a buy back up.
This is where we get to see what HR are like when they're actually shoved up against the wall. Because let's be realistic, they've not had a hard time in this game so far when it comes down to economy. We saw a very brutal start on the pistol round, an ace rolling on in, and it's really been a couple of rounds here and there, but for the most part, very clear cut. Now, on the other hand, it's starting to get a little bit scrapey.
Yeah, they're lacking in nades, no Molotovs in terms of any retake scenarios. Get Right's just going to go straight through the smoke. Angel, I think he was spotted out there by Makalele, so that should mean that they're not going to get caught out by this aggression, although not really facing the right way. He has to be careful, and Angel's still going to get that frag. I wonder whether or not Makalele did see him, because he was so aggressive. He's actually going to stay, and Forest will now punish, so still a 4 versus 4, important trade frag. If Angel fell back there, maybe it was a better scenario. But look at Bondic. He's also gone all the way through Squeaky. So if there is any sort of a execute, they may be struggling from that door position. However, from the looks of it, they're looking to take over mid, have a little bit of aggression just to make sure that there's nobody pushing through B. And in fact, we actually see Zero as well. He's gone all the way up to the box. So they are taking quite a bit of map control and really should be able to find out where this push is going pretty damn quick.
The aggression is not just singly proportionate, it's aggression all over the map. They are not holding back at all. And we're seeing a flash pop. The AWP of Smite going to be looking to get himself some more information. At this point, the pressure starts to mount for Zero. He knows there's going to be a push rolling in very, very soon. So he wants to be able to do the work and play big for his team. But Get Right, well, he knows exactly what is going on. Still going to be rattling off a couple of shots. Tags down Smite through the corner. He will find himself a frag with the AWP, but how much can he do when the fire is just giving him some very hot feet?
What is that smoke? That smoke completely missed, but it's not going to matter. Exist and Forest, they'll clean up the frags. And this is going to leave it with another round on the board for NiP. So it looks like the tactical pause has done its job. They've got a few more rounds in a row. This is going to be the reset as well for HellRaisers. So although they'll have a bye in the final round, this should be a nice, easy one. NiP have always been pretty good up against those anti-ecos. So definitely going to be looking them to take this home. But well, 6 rounds on the T side, even if they get that, it's not been a good half for them at all.
Yeah, pulling it back to a 9-6, still certainly worthy. Not a terrible scoreline when you look at it on paper, of course. The outcome of how they've got there, on the other hand, not so much. But hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. We're still seeing these rifles do what really they should be able to do fairly easily, which is just dismantle this pissed around side. And, well, a good start, a frag to be found on Smike.
Yeah, I don't think there's, unless they lose the round, I don't think there's any chance of NiP really getting reset at this stage. So obviously keeping it clean allows them to have extra nades, AWP, whatever. So they want to keep it as clean as possible. But as long as they win this round, keeping 3 players alive, not too much of a problem for them. Bonding up close, Sticko already onto 1 HP, but still with a Deeg. And, well, this is just going to be nice and easy stuff. Makalele holds the angle, leaves Angel left over towards the B site. May just be worth even saving the Kevlar for something extra in the next round, but Freiburg's not going to allow that. And well, I don't like to give teams a favor by saying, oh, maybe they started a little bit slow, but it does seem that NiP are now playing much, much better. They've got a few rounds in a row. They're back to 5 at least. It's still not anywhere near a good score or a score that we expected on the T side or expect from any matchup on the T side. But at the same time, it gives them a chance rather than when we were at sort of 9-1, 9-2, things were looking very, very scary.
The concerning factor for me is the second pistol round, but we'll get into that one in just a minute as we will be reaching that point very, very soon. But in the meantime, it comes down to we'll be seeing a 9-6 or a 10-5. As you can see, the rifles are on the board both sides. It's not a terrible buy by a long shot. The nade usage is going to be the worrying factor for the CT side. Really not too much to play with at all. Just a handful of flashbangs for the most part. 3 smokers to try and deploy at any chosen time. They're going to be using them just a
They're going to go for this again?
bit aggressive.
Oh, no, they're just using it for the
They're
boost.
going up towards Shroud, which they've not actually done too common. It's not something they really try and deploy, if at all. So NiP could be caught off guard by this if they go towards A. That's the factor, because you look at their setup, the bomb is dropped over towards the A site. But if we do see a bit more of a push coming from Get Right, he could get an inkling that the B site is the site worthy of being hit once again, as it has been rather successful for them in terms of bringing it back to a 5-round scoreline.
In terms of the setup, it's actually very flat at the moment from HellRaisers. It's quite surprising. They've gone for no aggression at all. Every single player but almost in a line. Angel will be finding the first kill, so a nice start already for the CT side. Looking to get themselves that all-favoured 10th round and get a 10-5 on the CT side. This position definitely not used very often, so to say the least, Forest will not be checking this, but at the same time, if someone comes out squeaky, they're going to have a nasty surprise, and there you go. Doesn't actually manage to get the frag, but I can safely say Forest was never expecting that.
I don't think a lot of players, especially on professional level, are expecting that sort of position. But the push is going to be rolling in. It's going to be Freiburg doing the work towards highway. Trade will come in, but Makalele looking to really do the work back for his team, and well, he will pick down Bondic, which means a bomb plant, it's secured. That's the key thing they're looking for, is now they get a bit more to play with in terms of security, and overall not having to worry too much. Smike, He's just going to be running up highway quick on his heels to try and put the pressure back onto the hands of Forrester. He's going to be holding the angle very close with the AWP, but this should favour him. It's a very easy gunfight for him to take, but he's going to miss the crucial shot. And this is where things get rather uncomfortable, as now they're getting closer and closer. Misses the second follow-up shot as well. And suddenly, well, you look at Makalele and get right. They're just caught off guard. They're going to be going for the long-range spray downs. Nothing is landing at all. And Sticker, well, he picks off Get Right. Makalele soon to follow. It's going to be the 10th round on the board.
Do they actually have time? This is going to be pretty damn close.
It's going to be very, very close, in fact.
I actually don't know if they have this. It's going to be very close. I think just... No, they don't get it. Oh, that's unlucky. So
I felt like they had that.
Yeah, very, very lucky. A little bit surprising that none of them had a kit. There were 3 players still alive, but NiP get away with one there. They didn't really deserve to win that round after that retake. A lot of missed shots coming out from Forrest, and, well, it looks like we are just going to have a little pause for a drink. I think, well, Forrest walking away from his PC definitely gives us that sort of inkling, but yeah, quite surprising half. It does come back in the end. We can have a few statistics on the board at the moment, and, well, some very, very good performances. Very impressed from Smike so far. Done a lot of work with the AWP. Angel, of course, stats were padded quite a bit by that first round ace, but still had huge impact frags. He was finding the first kill almost every round. Bondik did have some important rounds over towards the site. I think Sticko, well, I think 4 of the kills are in the second round against Pistols. So, again, you can't take too much from that. But it's a good, very, very good half overall. But you sort of think they were, what, 9-1 up, and now it ended up 9-6. You kind of think they could have done much better.
I've got 2 topics for you. One is momentum, and I'm just going to leave that word very much solitary on its own. The other is going to be followed up by the fact that I wanted to talk about the pistol round. For me, the first pistol round, it was very good, an ace to kick things off. That's certainly follows back to momentum. You really can't get much better than at all. The second pistol round is very important for me because we mentioned just how strong they have been off the back of that. If they pick up the second, NiP, they were slow to get started the first time around. Are they going to be able to regain the form to really cut them off where they stand, or are we going to see just another 6 rounds strung together? Yeah, and
well, I like the idea of momentum, of course, but I want to talk about the statistic that just came up. 12 of the 15 kills got by Smike with an AWP. You break that economy a little bit more often, he's not going to be as viable a player. That's just a fact. Yes, he got a kill towards the end with the AK in that sort of retake scenario, but they shouldn't have been allowed to have that many rounds in a row and build up that much economy. The one eco round they had, they did nothing. It was a perfect anti-eco round coming out from NiP. Either way, as said, the pistol round going to pay huge dividends for whoever manages to take it. Of course, there's still the follow-up rounds to that, but in terms of the pistol buy, it's only really Freiburg, Kit, and a smoke, and then on the other side, Sticko with the rest of the utility. Everybody else just gone for straight Kevlar. And in terms of the build-up, a lot of presence over towards middle from the T side at the moment.
It looks like it could somewhat play into the hands of NiP, but they're almost gambling towards a bit of a retake A setup as well, so really either could play towards them. But then you look at it and go, they have to land the shots. Now Angel is going to be the first man to barrel on down. Very much hot on the hills over towards Highway. Needs to land the shots himself. Actually going to be just getting away by the skin of their teeth, so the face doesn't quite have to roll in just yet. And now they have the information, which means 3 players stacked over towards that CT position, just rotating around the place, but they're diving towards vents. They have no idea what is going on. Finally, they may have just clocked on within the nick of time, but will it be enough?
Yeah, Freiburg with a lot to do, but already the rotation has made its way over. Makalele will grab another as he peeks out from the heaven position, and this is working wonderfully for NiP. They do get the read in time. The bomb will go down. That's a minimum. Now we're looking at Bondik. Manages to grab a kill. Still a lot more for him to do, but it's more the flanking player. But there's a flank on the flank. Get right. He's behind, but this defuse is coming in. Makalele is the one with the kit. Not sure why they've gone the other way around. They're going to smoke him off. Angel's going to get the frag. 3, 2, 1. It looks like he's just about getting it, and the smoke will do its job, but that was way too close. And, well, just Makalele defuse, then we have no trouble.
Speechless. There really is nothing left to say. That was, well, I have to talk about the fact that how he didn't know where he was defusing, actually, because when you're spraying the water smoke, 9 times out of 10, it is a little bit difficult to predict it, but it's in that corner. That is the most common plant spot on the B site. There really isn't too many places he can be. By default, you turn around, you defuse the bomb. You know exactly where he's going to be standing.
Well, I was more surprised by the fact that Get Right had a flank all the way over towards Car. And he still managed to, he didn't get the kill. He got caught out. So very surprised he didn't manage to end that round in his tracks. But luckily for NiP, they do get themselves that round win. They're going to be another buy coming back in the next round for HellRaisers. Just going for a little bit of a buy. Angel, in fact, having enough money to get some Kevlar on the board behind a Deeg. So definitely looking to see what he can do in this round. Smike trying to tap away. Get Right is down to 1 HP. He's going to be out of the round already. Bomb not really able to cross over. They don't have any nades to actually get it into position. It's going to try and pop out Squeaky at some point, and there's Angel. Finds the deke shot. Now starting to get a little bit scary. This wasn't even a buy, and they've got the bomb down. So that's great work already from the HellRaisers side of things. Still looking at Angel. He's got himself this deke, just shoulder peeking out to try and find anybody up close and personal, but nobody dropped yet. So many players to find, but there goes Makalele. Freiburg grabs another. Now we see the cleanup starting to build in, and this is where everything just falls apart. That is sort of the advantage of SMGs versus no armor.
It looked hopeful. Don't want to take that one away from them at all. Still going to be talking to Fuse. I'm waiting for this peak to come in from Bondek, because it felt like he was going to be trying to do something, but he's actually going to be going for that kind of after-time damage. Oh, well, we'll connect the shot.
Yeah, they dropped 3 players. I feel like a lot of these players probably would have had to buy back up anyway, because it is going to be the rifle buy coming back in. And in fact, Smite could even go for a glass cannon AWP. I think that might be a little bit overzealous, and you can see he is just going to go for the AKs here. But now you look at the money on NiP. If this round goes the way of HellRaisers, they have been completely screwed. The same can be said for HellRaisers, though, but they'll have a little bit more of a loss bonus coming in the next few rounds. And, well, to start things off with their buy, they're going to go for an A-smoke setup.
Yeah, returning back to the old faithful, something we see so common on Cash, but we saw NiP struggle. They actually didn't really pull it off too much, and didn't really work for them. This HR side make things any differently, and well, they've got themselves out and towards the site. A good start. Get right going to be the man to watch, as he will try and make himself a bit of a response, but he's not really caught anyone off guard. The timing just not going in his favor at all, and eventually we've taken down a peg by the hands of Angel. Does now exist. He will find himself a quick pace trade, but even then Makalele quick to fall, and well, Angel is actually in a very nice position, still over towards Fork, will eventually be traded back. But still falls back to a 3 versus 3.
Yeah, this is where any nades can be crucial, but there you go. Freiburg finds the first. A lot of damage already being done. Bondek, he needs to find that frag, and just a little bit too blind. Doesn't manage to do anything. Freiburg doing a great amount of work on that retake, and Exist will end the final 2 players. So that's going to be another round on the board for NiP. The bomb plant may actually be enough to get another buy for the HellRaisers side, of course, losing 3 rounds in a row. This will give them 2,900 going into the next, plus the bomb plant. They're actually doing all right on money.
Indeed, of course. It's a 9-9 scoreline, so, well, would anyone have mentioned that we're going to be getting back to an equal heading? Would anyone have really mentioned that at all? Especially when you take context of the fact that HellRaisers, well, they're delivering a very nice performance. The execute was kind of there. If Bondek managed to find the frag just a little bit earlier, we could have seen that one swing a completely different direction.
But yeah, it was a 3v3. It was a decent take. Just Freiburg on that retake was just crucial. He did all the work, managed to find 2 kills before any sort of trade came in, and then Bondek was the only one left. However, here goes Get Right. Aggressive push, and he's going to take that first kill. Now we're looking for a bit of a counter, and it's actually not going to come in. It'll be Exist doing the work, taking down one of the players pushing through. Eventually, Zero will trade on to Get Right, but the damage has already been done. Now we're looking at the remaining 2 players with HP, Sticko and Smike, and in terms of the presence of the CT side, there's 3 players on Highway. The other rotating over towards B, just in case there is going to be some sort of a push. We're looking at Forest, and well, now we actually see what HellRaisers can actually do in this circumstance. They have a minute left. They still have a little bit of utility, but not anything that's going to be too useful to them. HP on Zero is very, very low, and then, well, the remaining players, they literally have to rely on their aim versus, well, 2 Molotovs still on that CT side.
The most notable thing for me is this is very smart stuff from the NiP side, just in terms of basic positioning. Instead of putting players towards car, they rely purely on this highway, which means they have quick rotate towards mid. Makalele there to be kind of the early warning player, which overall, very good for them, but they will actually be caught off guard. As we do see Freiburg just go a little bit too aggressive over towards the A site. Would prefer if they just sat very much biased towards highway. So, well, Exist, he's trying to return something for his team, but it's just kind of easy pickings at this point. It's going to be back to the 3 versus 3. The low HP very much sided towards HR, but they have got the bomb down. Last time didn't quite work out for them. This time perhaps could be somewhat different.
Yeah, well, this will be the point where they've guaranteed a buy in the next round, or almost. And this will be enough for them at least, but they still have a chance to win it. And look at Zero's position. This could be the big one. He's in behind. He's going to spot Makalele coming now, but Makalele gets both. Now it's all down to Smike, 14 HP. Can't really hope for too much in this, but already he's going to get himself the first, looking for a little bit more. He's against Forest, and Forest will eventually end this one, but still a little bit too close for comfort. The bomb ticking very, very fast at this stage, but just about enough for them to get another round on the board. They're keeping it close, but they are keeping the rounds coming.
Within the nick of time he made there. A couple more seconds being played. Could have been a completely different outcome, but it feels like that's what we're getting to. We've gone away from the fact that HR have been stringing them together, but it's not like we're just seeing a complete flop now. We're not nowhere near still as kind of one-sided as people expected it to be.
No, nowhere near. This has been a very close affair, even in the rounds that we now see NiP coming back. This has been quite a string, though. I think it was, what, 9-1, 9-2, and we've seen nearly every single round in a row. The last round of the half, well, they managed to just win it because of a defuse not coming in the nick of time, and the last few rounds, again, have been down to just seconds, but they are clawing it back. That's the most important thing for NiP. It doesn't matter how they win this best of one. It matters that they win it. So, 10-9. No utility really on the T side, just a couple of smokes, a couple of flashbangs, nothing really else. And Molotov's still on the side of the CTs, but they're still struggling with economy. You have to remember, they're losing every player almost every round. There was only Forest surviving in the last and getting the defuse in the nick of time. So now we actually sort of analyze where the pushes are coming in, and it does look like an A build-up once again. Still a couple of players lurking around, but you can see Zero slowly making his rotation back, and Smike doing the same. So eventually, we are going to have that A hit. And in terms of positional play, there's already 2 players somewhat up close. And also the player over towards Highway, so definitely potential for that rotation to come in very, very quickly. And already Get Right's going to open things up.
Coming towards Exist because he's a player that, well, he's popping off huge a couple of times here and there. Overall, he's got the forklift advantage. Can he do the damage of Smike? He's actually going to be the first man out, which is not something you see every day. It's not quite going to work out so far as the players behind him all caught off guard. Smike the last to fall, albeit being the first man out. And, well, that just raises some questions of its own. You look at it and go, hold on a second. What on earth just went wrong?
Well, the big thing for me at the moment is the fact that I mentioned sort of from the first half that Smike was able to get an AWP in almost every single round. He hasn't managed to get it once, and the difference has been absolutely insane. I don't know, has he got any kills? He hasn't been noticeable. Zero. Again, he's got 1 kill so far in this half, so just a lot of players that aren't really able to achieve anything. He's going to save here. In terms of what they actually get back into the next round, I wouldn't even say that that was worth it. It would have been better to just go for something small in the next round and save ready for what will be a big buy. I hope they're not going to go for anything in this. Maybe some pistols, max loss bonus, of course, in play at the moment, 3,400 back into their accounts every single time. But yeah, so what? This has been 10, 11 rounds in a row now for NiP. Not something that we would have expected after how they started the half. And as how close they've been, there could have been rounds in between that HellRaisers probably should have won. But instead, well, this is just sort of what we've seen a long time ago. Definitely not against HellRaisers, but it's what we've seen from them in the past. They're just able to string these rounds together. They're able to win these clutches. These retakes are working. And somehow they have actually clawed their way back into this one.
Well, what do we take away from all of this? For me, it very much sits on the fact that HR, they were playing very well when things were basically when things were going their way, when things were working. Smike, he was allowed to get this AWP up in every single round back to back. Life was all good. It was peachy. NiP couldn't really respond. They tried here and there, and there was a couple of nice attempts, but nothing was quite working out. Second half, and one of the reasons why I was really stressing the pistol round and the outcome of those few following rounds, when HR don't have the economy sitting in their court, well, they're a very broken side. Albeit they have cut things very close. There have been rounds that very nearly down to the wire in terms of just the 3 or 4 second marker. But even then, it's not winning rounds. And you mentioned the biggest point about today is that it's a clean sweep of best of ones. So it doesn't matter how you win the map. As long as you win the map, that's it. It's the result that counts.
And well, we can now see this sort of tactical pause. In terms of actually opening up sides, I think that's where they've had the real problem is to think actually in this second half, the only person I can think of actually opening up rounds is Angel. Everyone else hasn't really been on the map. He had a few kills in the pistol round. We saw him in their first buy round come and get themselves 2 frags to get them into that sort of 3v3 scenario. And then they ended up, what? I think they got 1 kill after that where Makalele gets taken down, and then it ended up with the round going with Exist finishing things off. So, yeah, there have been some closer rounds, but a lot of it, in terms of actually opening up sites, I feel like they've lost the opening nearly every single time, just given the advantage over. And then when it comes back to actually bringing themselves back into rounds, even in 3v3s, they've really, really struggled.
It feels like on the 3v3 side of things, the team play has just not quite been there at times. The peaks, they've been a bit lopsided. The flashbangs, in terms of flashing for your teammates, hasn't really been there either. And, well, that's really a big ingredient of its own when you're trying to pull off these kind of clutch scenarios, is the fact that if you just throw a single flash over towards Forklift to help out your teammate when he's going to be going for that peak, that's something to work with. Whereas in comparison, what we're seeing is 3 men all stood on their individual islands trying to really just kind of build themselves up their own walls. When unfortunately, well, you're not going to build a wall in the space of 10 seconds. It's just not quite going to happen. And every single time and time again, they cut it close. But it's not quite been enough. It's always been smashed on down.
Yeah, and well, it's sort of a balance as well. I feel that in retake scenarios, NiP have actually been very, very good. Freiburg has stepped up a couple of times, and they've been using their nades very well. Like the round, for example, where Bondik was over towards quad, the flashbang goes out. He's completely blind, and if he had been able to see there, we already spoke about it. Freiburg was stood on top of the red crate. He would have been dead within seconds if that flashbang hadn't come in. So their nade utilage on this CT side has actually been very, very good. And in terms of fragging, we can see the top player on their team has 15, the bottom has 11. So there's not really any sort of avenue. Every single player, it's almost as if they were all just a bit groggy at the start of the game and they've stepped up. I don't really want to highlight it in that stance. I feel like HellRaisers were doing very, very well on their CT side, but at the same time, when you look at how every single player has seemed to have woken up and slowly move up the board, it is starting to look like maybe NiP just had a bit of a slow start.
Maybe the narrative is that HellRaisers, they have a great, in terms of almost impeccable side when it comes down to things working in their favor and they have the economy. They don't appear to have anything to fall back on, and just nothing is working. By the way, that attack wars, it has come to an end, and well, now we see what can they bring to the table. Will it be something new, something that might work? We're going to see Ninja Pajamas to bring things back. And well, you really hit the nail on the head with the bomb plant. They need economy. They need to start building things up, because we've already touched on so many times about how strong they were with that. Getting to that, it seems to be a pretty hard task for them right now.
Well, the fact is, in this round, they'll get 300-400 if they lose. So that's the bare minimum they're going to get. But that will not be enough for Zero to get a fall by. However, Angel, again, as the only player opening up these sites, even with just a Deagle, manages to start things off. Quick trade, Zero will get another, so this is looking better. It seems like maybe the tack pause is the way to go. Never would have seen that one coming. Either way, it is going to be a 4 versus 3. Forest is going to have a lot to do here, although the rotation is already being made, and there's Makalele to find another frag. Will be quick trades once again, but look at the HP on the remaining 2 players. So much to do. This has to be an instant headshot, and Forest's position is absolutely primed. I don't think they know he's here. He's going to drop the bomb. Now Angel, he's got 5 HP, needs to instantly hit the shot, and that's perfect from Forest. Just plays the position, doesn't give away his spot too early, and just ends that round in its tracks. And now, well, we spoke about the idea of a bomb plant. I actually want to see the money, because I'm pretty sure Zero will have, well, from the last round, he had 0. So now he's just going to have the 3,400. It's not going to be anything too crazy. He'll get himself a little bit extra because of the frags he managed to get, so that will allow him to get a buy. But to get full nades, well, you can see Sticko had to skimp. The rest of the team, they've managed to get this one working because, of course, Angel, he didn't properly buy. He just went for a dig, and Smike was the exact same. But still no AWP. And Makalele now picking that up on the CT side. I think that will probably work better for him, especially because he can go aggressive and peek into angles that you wouldn't expect.
The AWP seems to be something that's certainly merited for this HR side, but when they're not bringing it to the table, well, very much a similar story for the Oscar-led lineup. Nothing goes their way at all. So now they're staring down the barrel of potentially just letting this one run away into the hands of NiP, as well, they're not going to be holding back at all. It's actually going to be a fairly passive setup. 3 players very much vaguely directed towards mid. Of course, you can see kind of that quick rotate player actually going to be going back over towards Electric Box, over towards the top of the A site, so could very much lean towards that kind of 2-2-1 style, where the player was sitting over towards Vents, now actually opting to go for that move. As Freiburg, he's having some second thoughts about where he wants to be heading, and with that smoke going down, it's a smart play. Just play around the tips, make sure nothing too crazy is going to be going on over towards Boost. Make sure Smike isn't going to be going for a bit of a crazy push, which we have seen every now and then, but it's certainly on the more uncommon side of Counter-Strike. But overall now it's the ball in HR court. Where are they going to go? What is their movement going to be? And well, so far it's going to be kicked off with just them being taken down a peg, just dead like flies, as Makalele doing so much work with the ADP over towards mid.
Yeah, re-peeking into that angle. They get taken down very early on. There's the flashbang coming out from Freiburg. He'll spot another. It will be eventually traded by Sticko, but this is a trade way too late into the round. Forrest going to be playing towards headshot, and he's just going to clean things up. 1 player remains. Angel, he has been probably the best player on this T side so far, but Forrest, well, they haven't even got close to getting onto that B side. He has just shut things down the last couple of rounds, and that's going to be another round on the board. I don't even know how many in a row that is now. It's at least 11 or 12.
This is the NiP we should have seen.
Can we see the scoreboard? I want to see the scoreboard just to see.
I think the scoreboard will certainly be a nice timing for it, but I want to touch on the point that this is the fact that we should have been seeing this NiP from a much earlier standpoint, but we still can't take anything away from this Ukrainian side of HellRaisers. They have delivered a nice show.
On the CT side, for sure. We've seen nothing on the T side except Angel.
Well, that's the worrying factor alone, isn't it? That really says it all. Just kind of describes this matchup. When you're not bringing anything on your T side, something that I actually talked about right from the get-go was they need an impeccable T side to close this one out. Well, there you have it. It's non-existent.
Yeah, and it's just looking like the positional play from NiP is working nicely. As said, at the beginning at least, it was close rounds. It was coming down to 3v3s. It was coming down to closer positions. But in that round, they lost both the opening picks. They then managed to get one back, and then it just inevitably ended in, the same as the last round, where Forest just picks up the remaining 2 kills. In terms of this, as said, anti-eco is something that NiP has always been very good at. They're not going to lose too many players here. Zero, he's the last one left. He has himself a deagle, and Forest is just holding the angle. He knows that he's eventually going to have to peak, and that's flawless. They only take 18 damage total. And that is, well, I think we've seen that. That's the one thing that has been pretty consistent with NiP. When they have the money, when the other team doesn't, they are very, very good. And finally, after a long hiatus from the board, we have Smike with that AWP. And if they win this round, I'll be happy for them, but also frustrated that they didn't save for this earlier. Let's see. You never know.
Let's see how this one rolls on out. Maybe it's going to be a very decisive NiP side who have finally decided just to smash that hammer straight into their chest and say, enough's enough. We're walking away with this first map of the day win, which is the big thing of its own. Walking away with the first map, certainly a confidence boost going into this tournament. But either way, we're seeing a bit more map control being gained by HR, but really nothing too much to speak of. They just get themselves sat over towards AMA, and a couple of players really just spreading themselves out across the map. Looking towards mid, I want to see a bit more presence, as a bit more of a take, because they haven't really been trying to take it at all, and every time they have, they've only dedicated 1 or 2 players, which is, well, not really enough. When NiP, they're putting 3 players there practically every single round.
Yeah, I'm still just bemused the fact that HellRaisers haven't managed to win a single round so far on their T side, really struggling to open things up. Even Angel now starting to go a little bit quiet. We haven't seen anything from Smike, well, anybody else on the board, really. Zero had a couple of trade kills along the way in the round where he was the only one with a rifle, but other than that, well, it hasn't been too much. But there we go. Angel is going to start things off, takes a lot of damage himself, actually going to get all the way out mid. Has to be very careful here. This nade could be enough to end his life, although very close now. Exist is ready, but there's Sticko finally getting themselves up and awake. They find themselves a couple of kills, and this is looking a little bit better now. Forest in a little bit of an off position. They may not expect him to be here, but they are surrounding him very, very quickly. He's going to have to do so much and just flicking backwards and forwards, but they don't check. Eventually, they will trade out this kill. It's still going to be a 3 versus 2, though, and Get Right just running all the way in, barrels onto the side, finds 1 and 2. That headshot was nice. Leaves just Zero. He'll trade it back. It's a 1v1.
Still completely on the cards with Zero. He does have the upper hand advantage, but the clock is going to be ticking on down. 5 seconds to play with. He has to commit. Look at where that bomb is found.
He's lost it.
He needs to pick it up, but it is all over.
Lost it.
Get right, please. That's all I've got to say. A huge play. That second shot over towards Headshot. Well, Headshot, certainly there's a reason why it is named that after all. A very smooth one being delivered. And well, you can see the smiles on their faces. Exist extra happy about that one.
Yeah, well, Makalele manages to win that round just by looking at the clock. He could have gone aggressive there, made a mistake, but it was more the fact that after that kill, I was thinking, okay, there's a chance now. Just go get the bomb. That would have been it. Doesn't manage to do that, and well, there could have been a chance that Makalele was holding the angle, but at the same time, what else do you have to lose at that stage? Now, we sort of look at a position where there's no AWP onto Smike once again. Double AWPs, in fact, on NiP. Forest now picking up a secondary, and this is looking all but done. I think this may even be 15 rounds in a row for NiP, which is absolute insanity. This should never be happening. Not even just on one side of the map. They won, what, 5 in a row and then the next 10. Either way, it's not done quite yet. Angel again will find the opening frag. I feel like he's the only person who's been doing that all the way through this second half. Finding the first frag, and there's going to be Get Right out. He gets himself a second. He is really trying to put his team on his shoulders at this stage of the game. However, now we're going to see the smokes pulling out. Exist is the only person over towards this side, but quick rotations will come in, but it's all been a bait and switch. They'll play their way onto that B site. This should be a nice, easy round in the end. Bondik will dunk onto Exist as well, but they've been completely bamboozled. Not even attacking the right site anymore, and it doesn't even seem to matter as the fake is actually just taking down every player.
Not only did they fall hook, line, and sinker, but that push on towards the A site completely just shocked them down. They've got left 1 player remaining, which usually in this sort of scenario you would see 4 or even 5 at certain periods, just kind of going, okay, we've been taken advantage of, now let's go for the save and go into the next round. But still, it's going to be now, well, 1 step closer for HR to bring this one back, but you have to look at this one and go, well, they have to force overtime. That's all they've got. And
well, yeah, there's no other opportunity.
And I kind of look at this and also go, HR not making a single mistake, I don't know if I can vouch on that anymore.
Well, they've won one round on this T side, and it was almost solely off the back of Angel. He manages to get a triple kill, 2 entry kills onto the A site, which he shouldn't really have been allowed to do, but he does. And, well, the rest of the frags, it was Bondic finding 1, and then the remaining 2 players were just sort of clean up frags as they attacked the wrong site. In terms of this round, it looks like NiP were not happy by the fact that they did get baited, so they've gone very aggressive over towards A. Not going to give the chance over towards Angel to find these peaks. Get right. It's going to push all the way out. In terms of the rest of the positions, it's still fairly aggressive over towards mid. You see the vent push, and Makalele now actually going to go all the way up close and personal with the cover of his teammates. So this could actually work out quite nicely if they can manage to sort of bait a player in and then at least get some sort of trade kill. But they'll want a little bit more than that. As said, still sort of looking at Get Right. He's just sort of shoulder peeking now. Has to be a little bit careful. Smike not going to manage to hit that shot.
He does get the information. Which means that now rotates can start to roll in and get themselves in a position they know what to expect. And for NiP, oh, this is all they need. 1 round, 1 cheese round, no matter what they have to do. As long as they don't have the shots, it's all over. Now you can see Exist, he's going to be going towards box. Get Right actually there to try and help him out. The booster's rolled in. Exist going to find himself 1. Bondic quick to trade things back, however, so certainly still doable at this point. But Exist, he's just going absolutely huge in this round. Picks up another frag. Get Right there to help him out. Get Right dropping down, drops the bomb, finds himself another frag, and we're back in a 4 versus 1. It's all on 0. Nothing left for him to do at all. So 20 seconds to play with, but you just take a look at where that bomb is, and, well, it's just cut out impossible. Really just nowhere for him left to even look, because NiP, they aren't even facing.
Yeah, there's no time. He would have to do some. Well, he'd basically have to turn on hacks to win that round. There was no chance. NiP are going to close that one out. After being 9-2 down, they don't manage to quite clean sweep it from that point. They lose 1 round right at the end, and that was off the back of Angel. But other than Angel on that second half, very disappointing showing from HellRaisers. They even slowed down, and you spoke about momentum. That was heavy momentum. That was just everything going their way at the beginning of the half. You have to say, there were points where you go, okay, that came pretty close. Okay, they got into 3v3s with the bomb down. Towards the end, apart from that 1 round, they weren't even getting onto sites. The B site was completely shut down by Forest, and everywhere else Exist really playing up big. Get Right was able to go into more of a free roam position. He was able to just run around the map and pretty much do whatever he wanted. And by the end, it looked like a complete shut case. Either way, it's not really our job to analyze. So I imagine we're going to be going back to Red Eye and the desk. I hope.
Maybe.
I don't know. Are we transferring? Don't have anything in our ears, so there we go.
Sports fan, Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO? Guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Getting tired of playing with the usual skins, but don't have enough money to buy a new one? Get rich fast with CSGoFast.com. CS Go Fast. It's a strong chance of winning in every game. Several rooms with different game modes. Daily, more than 1,000 games, 5,000 players, and 25,000 skins at stake. You don't need much in order to sweep the board.